here there be spoilers. Beware any you haven't read yet. Avast, ye viewers! Ge back, afore ye be spiled of this book. Hey everybody. Graz the Punisher here with you today to give you episode 2 of the 100 greatest graphic novels of all time. The first one was, I think, about a month ago. It was Scott Pilgrim and the Infinite Sadness. This is that was book 100 of this list, and here we are going to talk about book 99. So first off, we are looking at The Punisher Born by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. Okay, I'm going to leave that like that, and I'm going to talk a little bit. That's what you're here for, right? Listen to me talk. Like I said, this is book 99. I don't understand why it's book 99. I mean, based on some of the books that I've read since then, I feel that this should be a little higher, but it's not my list. It's somebody else's opinion, and I'm just reading my way through it. So, and that helps me at times. This is only 4 issues of a comic book put together into a graphic novel, and it reads just that fast. It took me about 25 minutes to read it. I've read it twice now. I read it 5 years ago when I got this book and started reading my way through it. But I read it yesterday to prepare for the video, so it was fresh. I'm going to try and do that with some of them. Not all of them, because some of them are a little bit longer. This is incredibly engaging. I mean, right from the first panels, it's so good. It draws you in immediately with the narration from a soldier in his platoon, which is a guy named Goodwin. They're in Vietnam. They're protecting the border by Cambodia, and it's, yeah. I would, if you're going into this, this is from the Marvel Max line, which was meant for mature. Max meant mature. So it's going to be gory. It's going to be bloody. There's death. There's body parts everywhere. There's actually sexual tones, and actually a rape scene, and there's lots of heartbreak. Well, a partial rape. I'll explain. I kind of felt that the very ending, which I'll show you a picture of and explain, might be why the person who made this list maybe knocked it down some, because it feels kind of forced. But all in all, Castle is actually an easy character to relate to, even with his penchant for killing. He's just addicted to the war, period. Oh, excuse me. But he's just relatable, you know. He's in a situation that nobody should be in, war. And he's doing what he's there to do. He just kind of gets caught up in it and starts liking it a little bit. And you can actually see where the mentality of the Frank Castle / Punisher that we all have heard of, or those of you that have, you can see where the basis for him forming here. The dialogue is very gritty. It's very realistic. Like, it feels in place. You know, like this is probably how they actually talked in the jungles of Vietnam. It's pretty cool. Leaving Castle to the side for a quick moment, Goodwin, who is our narrator for most of the book, the other parts that aren't Goodwin are from inside Castle himself, so that's actually pretty cool. But anyway, Goodwin is the heart. He's less than a month or so from going home, and that's what he's looking for. He can't wait to go home and live the all-American life. He talks about, I'm going to go home, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to travel the country, I'm going to have sex with a lot of girls, and then when I find the right one, I'm going to marry her, and we're going to start a family. Probably the thought of many people in Vietnam. But his inner dialogue, like I said, he's the narrator, and most of the narration is from inside his head, is beautiful. It's beautifully written. There's even this little bit where he could just sit in the camp and, you know, just hang out and wait for his day to get on the plane and go home. But instead, he willingly chooses, resigns himself to, you know, go out on patrol with his brothers at arms to be with them and protect them. It's a very cool decision that he makes, and it is a very well developed character trait. Now, basic at its barest bones, this is a war story. You get the dirty bits of the politics behind the war. You get the sense of the useless camp leaders and stuff and generals that are the leaders of the conflict. And it's really sad that people were there. But you know, moving on from that a little bit, keep in mind this is a prequel to the Punisher story. I mean, you don't get much of the actual Punisher. This is Frank Castle's origin in Vietnam. So make sure you keep that in mind. Don't go into this thinking you're going to see the Punisher, because you're not. You're going to see who Frank Castle is as he morphs kind of into that. The artwork is awesome. It shows the bloodiness of the fighting really well. You need that in a Castle/Punisher story. The explosions are intense, and you can very easily see heads exploding and being blown into shreds, and just slime and stuff going everywhere. It's pretty cool. The best scene of many good scenes in here is very early on, and I didn't take a screenshot of it. I guess I could find it, but this is already going to, you know, I don't want to go on too long like I did yesterday. There's this numbnut general who is like, no, this camp's going to be shut down, we don't care about this border, and you're never going to be a Marine again. And Frank tricks him into climbing a hill where there's a sniper, that they know there's a Vietnamese sniper, and the general gets his head blown off. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm not condoning it, but in the story, it's great. I have to, this one screenshot of Frank yelling in a firefight, I have to show this because it's stupid. Here's the overall page. They're in the middle of getting attacked. And then at the bottom of it, you see Frank yelling for illumination, and he's got this going on. I mean, here you go. You know, I mean, it's seriously, illumination indeed. That's about the only part of the artwork that's like, it's kind of stupid. Most of it's really realistic, and then you've got Frank having his mouth stretch in an I Am Legend zombie type way. The final battle. It ends up, and it's from this. This is the start of the final battle where I showed you his mouth. It ends up. It's just Frank and Goodwin. They're the only two left. Everybody else is dead in their particular spot. I mean, there's going to be help coming, but right now they're the only two left alive. it's them versus basically a legion of Charlie, which is what the Americans in whatever in the war called the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong. They called them Charlie. It's amazing in an eye widening effect. It's. I mean, there's fire all around them. At one point, one of them's on fire, and the air support's coming in, and you've got Frank finally just doing his thing. It starts off, you know, it's bloody, gory, and terrifying, and you finally get this, which is the Punisher born. Frank finally gives in to the killer that keeps talking inside of him, which is the other narrator, and he gives in, and it's really cool. Although it is kind of sad and heartbreaking that when you're seeing this desolation in one of the shots, you see Goodwin laying there amongst the dead, with his mouth open in an almost Joker-ish rictus of a grin. It's kind of sad because he was so close to going home, and Frank alone against maybe 20 Viet Cong in what was a firefight that turned into a hand-to-mini-hand combat, because he ended up killing people with like the butt of his gun and his knives and stuff. It was and then at the very end, the voice is talking, and it tells him, hey, you remember I said that there'd be a price, Frank? And it shows him this, which is his family that he's just reunited with at the airport at home in America. So the voice is basically telling him, your family will be the price. And if you know the origin of the Punisher, then you know that comes true. Because they die and he becomes the Punisher. Are we getting close to time? Okay. We're back on the camera, and it only does 20 minutes at a time. So, but this was a great addition to this list. I borrowed it from the Comixology thing, and it's honestly one that I think I'll keep a hold of so that I can reread it, or I might even splurge at some point and get the hardcover, or the trade paperback, whichever, because I want to read this over and over again. It's very good, and it seems like every time you read it, it's one of those where you see different things. I feel I should explain the partial rate because I didn't. Frank's platoon is ambushed, and you know all of them are scattered and scared except for Frank. He's like, "Give me the 60," and he just unleashes on the snipers. And after the carnage ends, one of the guys that was emasculated in the fight finds a Vietnamese woman that was among the ambushers. And they knock her out, and he's raping her. And Frank walks up and shoots her in the head and says, "No rape. We're not here for that. We're here to kill." That's pretty cool. I mean, you know, not the rape part. But yeah, Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson are brilliant in birthing this incredible character, and I 100% recommend to anybody watching that you read this graphic novel, Punisher Born 1 through 4, before you watch the John Bernthal Punisher TV show that was on Netflix for a while, and I think it's on Disney Plus now. I'm not really sure. I hope they didn't cut it up, but Disney being Disney, you know. But if you've already watched that, then read this. They are great companion pieces to each other because this can lead right into that perfectly. I'm going to do that. I'm going to rewatch it. And honestly, this graphic novel, even if you're a slow reader, maybe an hour of your time. Now I'm going to finish with the Goodreads. Now I gave this a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads, but if I went by my personal thing, it would probably be like a 9.25. Honestly, it's that good out of 10. But on Goodreads, it has a 4.19 rating out of 5. It has 2,663 overall ratings and 157 reviews. Let's up those numbers, folks. This is much too good to be that low. Let's not let the one bad piece of artwork color everything, even though it is pretty funny. So that's The Punisher Born. Let's have a dad joke to finish. My daughter likes it when I take my glasses off and glare at the camera. She says I look meaner. What do you all think? Okay, dad joke. Ooh. That one didn't age well. I'm not saying that one out loud. How about this one, though? What concert only costs 45 cents? 50 Cent featuring Nickelback. That's pretty good. So, until tomorrow, this is Vlogmas Day 7. I've made it 7 days in a row. And I'll see you tomorrow with something. I'm not sure what, but this was a fun one. Even though this hat is starting to melt my head. So just get out there and read more.